It starts innocently enough. Summer comes, and you work on your tan. Tanning equals sex appeal, youth, beach, and renewal. In fact, a sunburn, which usually precedes a tan, is actually an ultraviolet radiation burn that affects the living tissue of the skin. When the damaged burned skin peels off, what is left behind is a tan. But when you're young, you're not usually thinking about the long-term destructive impact of the sun on your skin. You're thinking about the opposite sex and how you look and that glow you seem to have. Quite a contrast to the washed-out look of the winter. This hasn't always been the case, though. In past centuries, beauty was often described as the fairest of them all. In other words, the natural color, and for Northern Europeans, that meant pale. Then came the 1950s, and a new aesthetic came into vogue in the form of Brigitte Bardot. Shocking for those days, Brigitte Bardot was photographed on the French Riviera, sometimes nude, soaking up the sun and presenting the world press with her great beauty and sexy tan. This was a global trendsetter, and, as is the history of every new generation, you must contradict the previous generation to declare your independence. If they say up, you say down. If they say jazz, you say rock. If they say know your place, you say I'll do my own thing. If they say pale, you say tan. If the 40s and 50s were conservative in dress and style, the later 50s and 60s had to be radical. The 1950s in America meant Eisenhower and conformity. After World War II, that generation had had enough action and hardship, and all they wanted was stability. A house in the suburbs was just the ticket. Not so for their children, who found life boring. Enter rock and roll, Elvis, Little Richard, Marlon Brando, James Dean, and Brigitte Bardot. Plenty there to contradict the past and reject the deadening impact of mindless conformity. The beach was the newest and hippest scene. Of course, not everyone could get to the actual beach, but there were swimming pools, lakes, ponds, and rivers where sun worshippers could gather and do the one thing that teens love to do: drive their parents crazy. Then there were the more conventional and toned-down beach party films, many of them starring Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello. The theme of these films was that of teens having fun in the sun. No matter what the plots were, the major thing was nice-looking kids running around the beach and working on their tans. It seemed so sweet and innocent, healthy even. And so, the image of a tanned body became the new norm of beauty and youth and fun and a feeling of being alive. But it wasn't. Even Brigitte Bardot said that she regretted starting an unhealthy trend with her constant sunbathing on the Riviera. She points to her damaged skin as a warning about skin cancer and ultraviolet radiation. With all we know now, we would think that the results of overexposure to the sun would change people's behavior, that they would avoid the dangers of UV radiation. But that hasn't happened. And that's what this film is about. To make the reality clear that sun exposure is directly related to skin cancer.